Stephen A. Milner. Casey Cunningham, how have you been?
Well, I'm doing outstanding, Casey. Thanks so much for including me in this interview, and I've been looking forward to it.
Listen, you know what I just love about you right this moment? You are in a suit and tie,
Yes.
right? You hadn't wavered a bit on your standards, have you?
No, Monday, I wear a suit and tie every day, and I still want to, try to maintain a normal environment, even though, we have in my corporate office in Melville, we have about 150 people, but maybe 7 people have been coming to the office since March of last year. But I've been coming every single day, and I still suit up, and
Yeah, I've always said if you dress the part, you are the part, right? You don't go to play
yeah,
baseball in a football uniform, right?
I like
Get in
that.
the game. It's sort of funny. Right after COVID hit, I was like, all right, we're going to be home. I showered every morning, got dressed, fully ready to go to work.
Yeah,
Because I got to get my head in the game. I can't come out in sweatpants and what some of the other were able to. This was just a Casey thing. Like I got to be in the part. So I just love that you haven't wavered at all on that. And I was like, I'm wondering if Stephen A is going to show up as sharply dressed or if he's going to have a t-shirt on.
yeah,
So you
no.
did not disappoint me. So let's talk, man. It's been a while. Tell me over the past year, what's been going on and how have you been?
Well, we've been out. Personally, it's been great. I've been great. I still take my 43 vitamins every day, like a crazy person, but I stay healthy. And, as I told you, I work 20 hours a day, literally. I sleep maybe four hours a day.
Really? You're one of those. You can go with only 4 hours of
Yeah.
sleep?
I think because everything in life is about math, right? At some point, mathematics,
True.
especially coming from my background. So I just never felt that I wanted to sleep 8 hours because that's what 33% of your life, right? So I just didn't want to do that. So I sleep 4 hours a day, and I need to do it anyway in this business just to keep up with what's going on. So, but
And you're able to function. I wish I could do
yeah,
that. Have you always been that way?
yeah, I just,
What a blessing.
yeah, I just feel like, I've always said that no matter where you work, you should try to find a passion for what you do every day. And some people work to live, some people live to work. When you work to live, it's budgetary in nature, which I understand. You have to feed your family, and that's
Sure.
important. But when you live to work, which I think you probably do as well, Casey,
Absolutely.
that means that you have a passion for what you do and who you work for.
Mm.
And you can't wait literally to get out of the shower every morning and to make your bed and do whatever you do every morning and start your day. And that's how I am.
Well, you're one of those leaders that I've had the privilege of having some time with over the past years. And you just have a really unique perspective about leadership. And I know the past year had to challenge every leader. And you could see those that were outstanding, they rose to the occasion. And those that were challenged maybe sort of withdrew. I know you attacked this past year with fury. Can you give me some things that maybe you did this past year that helped your team cope with these unprecedented times?
Well, some of the things that we did on a management level were I have a senior management team that consists of myself, the president of my company, who happens to be my son Scott, who's been with me for 10 years, and then we have our chief marketing officer as our VP of capital markets, our chief operating officer, our chief sales officer, and our chief financial officer. So we meet every Thursday, but
Okay.
due to COVID, we moved that up to 3 days a week. As the issue started to escalate really a year ago, starting on March 12th. And, we just felt that I've always felt that communication is the lubrication, right? So we felt that we needed to really be on top of everything going on and on a department level basis. And it really helped us just to communicate as to what each department needs and how to navigate through the problems that we were having. And it really worked out very, very well. And of course, as every other company, we migrated towards having a lot of virtual meetings with all our managers, because we have strictly a retail environment. We have a branch model that's typical of a lot of other companies, but I've always felt is very important to really communicate with our division leaders. So we did a lot more virtual meetings and discussions. What I implemented also was a we have division managers who oversee sales managers.
Sure.
So I felt personally wanted to be more proactive about what their challenges and opportunities were. So I created a division manager monthly roundtable where it was just the division managers, no one else, no other managers that would normally report up to them, just to listen and to create a venue for which they can talk about what's on their mind as it relates to, again, their challenges, opportunities that they have, that they're having that they're having issues with executing, as well as sharing their best practices. And that really added to the communication among all the other managers. And I think that helped,
Are you going to maintain that through the next year, or is it?
Yeah, no, we still maintain that. I rolled out a loan officer roundtable, which is similar, where loan officers are just talking again about their challenges, about their opportunities, about their best practices among each other, where I am not involved in that. And the division manager roundtable, I'm directly involved, but that's moderated by my business development manager, and it really gives them an opportunity to talk about, anything associated with their business. And I'm very involved with the loan officers. I really enjoy that part of the business. You may recall that I'm licensed. I have 51 MLO licenses, and I still originate 20 to 25 loans a month, probably at least 8 to 10 million a month. So that really keeps me in touch with the manufacturing process and the assembly line. And as we had issues with COVID and all those direct issues that directly and indirectly impacted our business, being a loan officer, you really, which I am, and to a large degree, I just felt I was able to really stay in touch with what the loan officers were going through. I think that helped.
So I'm going to guess this past year that you had a really record year based on what the industry is doing at large, and you had capacity challenges.
Yeah, but we were just talking about that today, that the number of employees, we did close to 2 billion, but then the number of employees really didn't change that much. I mean, I think, one of the issues that we were discussing on our senior management meetings, which I referenced before, was in the absence of physically being in the office, what challenges are they having as it relates to monitoring their productivity and efficiencies of the employees? And our employees have just been so productive. We really had to expand some of the operational staff to handle the volume. But other than that, which is not unlike many other companies, underwriters, closers, team managers, operational staff. But they did an outstanding job, and when COVID hit, I gave every employee three options. They can either come back to the office entirely, I should say, or they could work partially from home and partially from the office, or they can work entirely from home. So I gave them each those three options, and some chose to come entirely back to the office that they normally would come to because they wanted to do that. Some felt that they wanted to be home 2 or 3 days a week, and 2 or 3 days they wanted to come to the office. And others just simply wanted to be home. So,
what do you think the future looks like? What for the industry at large?
As it relates to people returning to the office?
Let's talk about specifically the industry right now. Refinances have been obviously at an all-time high. Rates are shifting. We're going to be going into a purchase market. What's your crystal ball? How long do you think this is low rate environment?
2021 is going to be another great year for the industry.
Okay.
I think a lot of the refinance, interesting you bring that up, but I think a lot of that refinance business will decline. I think nationally anyway. But I think there's going to be at least 2.5 million households that are going to be looking to purchase a home. Even though inventory is really very much depleted, there are now more real estate agents than there are homes available to be sold. But we're very in tune with providing sales data to our salespeople in terms of their pipelines, their past pipelines and their current pipelines. So what surprisingly, even though refinances were very strong, we spent a lot of time sharing with them data of their previous clients that they originally closed loans for prior to April 1st of 2020. So we gave them reports of the borrowers that they closed from their personal pipeline prior to April 1 of last year, that where the rates were greater than 3.5%. And they were so busy that I think even with the record year we had, we only got to maybe 15 to 18% of those. So we still have a great deal that we still need to market to. And our chief marketing officer, we set up this we set up this SMS text message program, and whereby the borrowers that these loan officers close their loans for are getting text messages. There's still a lot of people out there that are above 5%, actually above 4%. Maybe they want to do a renovation loan, maybe they want to do a cash out refinance.
Oh yeah.
Maybe they want to change the term to a 15-year, but I don't think it's going to affect us that much in terms of the decline in refis, but we expect a decline. But we've always been very strong in the purchase money business, which I've always felt is the lifeblood of the mortgage banking business is the purchase money business. And we're very much encouraging our loan officers to continue to maintain those relationships with their referral partners.
Absolutely.
So,
Stephen, as I got to know you, you have so many great stories as to how you got where you are. And because it's just amazing to hear them. And I'd love for you to share, how did you stumble into the mortgage industry? Because nobody typically, maybe your son did, but most of us veterans, the old guys, I'm calling myself old guys, had no intentionality of let's go get in the mortgage space, because I didn't even know what it was.
Yes, that's a great question, and I love telling my story, which takes a long time. But the reason one of the things that we do here in the company, every month we have a meeting that my son and I conduct, and it's basically it's a meeting where all the employees are invited to attend, virtually, obviously, and we talk about where we have been, where we are now, and where we are going. And when I meet people for the first time, that's how I've always operated my business. I sit down with them. I don't want to know about their business model. I really want to know about them as a person, where they have been in their personal and business life, where they are now in their business and personal life, and where they are going in their business and personal life. And the reason I start off the conversation that way is because I tell them where I have been in my business and personal life. I just share everything, where I am now and where I am going. And just like you just said, Casey, and I tell them that no one wakes up one day and they say they want to be a loan officer. I wasn't sitting around, after I graduated high school and said to myself, I think I want to be a loan officer.
Hey, I'm going to add something to that. And our kids are like, I don't want to do that job, Mom. Right? But here you are, your son's president.
Yeah, so, and I tell everybody, my story is no different. I didn't wake up one day. I was a school teacher. My story is on our website. But I was a school teacher. My son was born in 1978. At that time, I told my wife and I agreed that she should stay home. And I've always felt a man has to do what a man has to do. So I did whatever I could do. I was teaching school, making about $8,000 a year, $10,000 a year. I was pursuing my doctorate in mathematics, and because I wanted to become a principal, and you had to have a PhD to become a principal on Long Island. And So I started, I sold Amway, those Amway cleaning products.
Oh my God.
And
Oh,
those,
I could see you doing that
and those
sort of.
Shackley vitamins, anything I can do. And then I went to refinance my house in 1980, sat down with the loan officer. She introduced me to the manager. He offered me 12.5 basis points. At that time, the average loan size was $100,000. And even though I taught math, I said to him, that sounds great, but can you explain one thing to me? What is a basis point? I had no idea.
That is awesome. Awesome.
Oh, my average loan size was about 100,000. If I closed the loan, I made $125, but I didn't receive any training. So he gave me the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac seller servicer guides. I read them in 1 week. I came back and I said, okay, this is something I want to do. I would like to do. And
Oh my
because I
God.
didn't receive any training, my first 24 deals I took never closed. I made $0. I thought my wife then was going to stick a fork in each eye, and yeah, but then I started to really learn the business, and needless to say, by 1986, I was closing 30 loans a month myself, and I left teaching. I gave up my retirement and my benefits. I opened a mortgage brokerage shop in Queens, and then on February 17th, 1994, I opened up U.S. Mortgage as it is today. So we just passed our 27th year, and we've got a great team. Many of my people have been with me the entire 27 years. It's amazing. I always be, one of our core values is to seek longevity, and we try to stress that core value. And, it's my goal as a owner of a company has always been to serve as an employer for life. And
Love that.
and that's important to me, that I reflect on what could I have done better to retain that employee. So that's the quick version of my story. I mean, I can go on and on, but
Oh my gosh. So I love where you said, where have you been? Where are you? And where are you going?
right.
Where are you going? Where are you taking U.S. Mortgage?
Well, where we're taking it now is that we are really very much focusing on artificial intelligence and really automating the entire process. We really felt the need for it. We really, and my son Scott is really leading that charge. He's doing a great job with that, Scott. And but on our model is strictly retail, boots to the street, even though we have a very successful and profitable and productive division, consumer direct division in Horsham, Pennsylvania.
Right.
And they do an outstanding job with dealing with the consumer direct platform. But our goal is to continue to recruit. We created actually our own recruiting division within the company, not unlike what other recruiters / headhunters have. So we created our own, and we are really pursuing that with recruiting. I'm very much involved in the recruiting side, whether it's loan officers within our branches or new opportunities, because the company, we're licensed in 48 states. And, so we feel that there's still great opportunities and for people to join our company, and we continue to, thank you. We continue to look for opportunities on the recruitment side and so on.
Sure. So if you were talking to a loan officer today, one of your loan officers, and they said, Stephen A., I would love the best advice to be successful, what are the top 3 things you would tell them?
The best advice to be successful as a loan officer?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a great question too. Well, the first piece of advice is to sit with me and learn what I call the 5 Milner commandments of loan origination. And they are, as far as I'm concerned, there's 5 main tasks that a loan officer needs to become a student of. That would be to learn how to sell, how to qualify, how to take a complete application, how to follow up with your pipeline, and how to market yourself.
Mm,
And my advice to loan officers is that they have to really drill down on where their strengths and weaknesses are,
mhm.
because in my experience, very few loan officers can do all those 5 things very well: sell, qualify, take an application, pipeline follow-up, and market themselves.
Mm,
Reason I tell them that I've seen loan officers who are very charismatic, they like to talk to people, and they're good at selling and marketing, but they're not technicians.
mhm.
They're weak in qualifying.
Right,
As a trainer, you can relate to this, right? They,
sure.
they're weak in taking an application completely. They're weak in follow-up. And I try to tell them that that application must tell a story. It's like a novel. And they have to understand that when that novel hits the underwriter's desk, that underwriter does not have the luxury of having to have sat with the borrower at the kitchen table and listen
True.
to their story. So that
Mhm.
application has to be a totally complete application. Then I've met those loan officers, and I tell loan officers this, that I met loan officers who are great technicians. They become a true student of how to qualify, how to take an application, and how to follow up with their pipeline. But they're not charismatic.
They're not,
They
right.
have what I call reluctance.
Mhm.
You know, they don't feel comfortable in dealing with their referral partners, and they don't really have the ability or even the willingness to market themselves, you know, so I try to, in talking to them, I try to impress upon them to try to ascertain where is their weakness. And if they can ascertain that, then they need to fill that gap with maybe an assistant of some type, a loan officer assistant or a processing assistant, someone who
Got
can
it.
help them with those, to fill those weaknesses that they have. And that's the first thing when I speak to a loan officer, whether they're experienced or whether they're not, I try them. And I'm very much willing to sit with them and go through sort of
That's amazing.
a syllabus, if you will, of what those 5 Milner commandments are.
So as an executive leader today, I'm going to guess, since we are both in that same boat, I've learned a lot. I've made
Yeah.
more mistakes than I've done things right. But as I always say, if you don't learn from your mistakes, then you truly can't lead, right? You have to know that you're imperfect. What lessons have you learned as a leader that has made you a better leader today?
Uh, well, I think one of my favorite quotes is from Salvatore Dali, who said, "So little of what could happen does happen. So little of what could happen does happen." And
Mm,
what does that mean? To me, that means that you create a plan and you must stay focused on the fulfillment of that plan. And you can, in this business, as you know, you can become very distracted, right?
mhm.
Try to do too many things at once. So I try to very much focus on completing the task. Um, and I've always believed, as I said before, in persistence overcomes resistance all the time. And it's something that people have to work on, you know, and I just think that they have to realize that a person who made it to the top of the mountain was not dropped there, you know.
Right.
And,
They didn't, they climbed their way up. They didn't get dropped out of a helicopter.
and a tree doesn't, you know, grow straight to the sun, right? That's just the way it is. And
Mhm.
you know, and the idea is to continue to you lay out your plan, create a process to reach the final objective. But I just find that many people are distracted and they lose focus. You must stay focused on what the initiative is, and that's what I try to exude and explain to everyone, even on the senior managers. You know, I just try to provide that leadership to them to really focus on what the objective is. And I always say, if you fail to plan, you are
And to
planning to
fail.
fail, right? So
Now, I know a little data point that a lot of people listening in will not know, and that is you wrote a book of Milnerisms. because you have an amazing way to bring words to the page that have some aha moments, is what I would say. So I would love to know, do you have a favorite top 3 Milnerisms that you tend to get the biggest reaction from?
Well, one of them was the one I just, yes, the Salvador Dali one. I took
That's
that
your favorite?
one, so little of what could happen does happen. I mean, that's huge, I think. And
That just told me not to worry. Don't
just,
get distracted.
right.
Just stay focused, stay on course.
Well, some of my favorites are live life as long as you have life to live, give love as long as you have love to give. And always remember that life is not about having what you want. It is about wanting what you have got. Life is
Mm,
not about having what you want.
mm,
It's about wanting what you've got, because we will never have what we want. That's just the way it is. I mean,
mm.
I mean, I just see that all the time, I mean, to me, life is about having what you want,
So interesting, because on this journey in my life,
not about having what you want. It's about wanting
not
what you've
right,
got.
yeah. It's been really interesting to me on this journey. I'm always looking for the pursuit, right? I'm going after, and I'm like, am I really enjoying the journey along the way to pursue?
Good point. Right.
And in the journey is what life is. It's not the destination, it's the process of getting there. Because once you're
Right.
there, then you move the goalpost and you're going for the next one. So do we really, every single moment of every day, relish the life that we have? Because I think you would probably agree, the mortgage industry has been really good to us.
Yeah.
And you think about the last year of all the hospitality industry, the service industry, and what's happened to industries and businesses around the world. And yet we're having banner years. Are we really relishing and praising and being grateful and feeling that blessed and enjoying it, as opposed to stressing it? And I love your quote. So little of what could happen does happen. So all the worry doesn't do anything to add to my life. It's stay focused, stay the course, and be great stewards of the gifts we've gotten. And you've been one of those men that I've had the privilege of getting some time again with, where you have been blessed and you're blessing others. And
Yeah.
when I think of leaders, and I think time with Stephen A means time with somebody pouring into someone else's life to make them better.
Yeah.
And I adore what you said. Seek longevity and be that employer for life. And if you put that out there as an employer, and I'm thinking, by the way, you just taught me, right? Employer for life. What does that look like?
Right. Good point. Yeah.
How do we make ourselves the employer that no one ever wants to leave? I just happen to be having a team meeting coming up, and you just gave me some insight, and I appreciate that. And again, Stephen A is always going to pour into other people's lives.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be sensitive to your employee needs. I mean, they're human beings, and just because I sit in my CEO pedestal doesn't mean I can't try to speak to my employees and really be sensitive and understanding of what they're going through personally, professionally.
Mhm.
Um, I think that's important for a leader, and I don't, and that's one of the recommendations I would make to anyone who's in a leadership position, that have humility, have understanding, and really, and that contributes to to serve as an employer for life, right? I think and people are very appreciative of that. I'm very, I'm constantly emailing, and congratulating people on their annual work anniversaries, and their birthdays. I know everyone's birthday. I know everyone's work anniversary. You know,
Oh, I love
and
that.
you can't believe some of the comments. Thank you so much for, we send them a $25 gift card or whatever it is, just to
Sure.
make their day, um, and it's worked for me, and you just have to be understanding of what their needs are. And, and I think that's sometimes is missing from leadership.
I think it was missing with me early on in my career, realizing I just was trying to climb the ladder, and realizing I was going to be lonely at the top if I didn't climb it and bring people with me, if you will. And God had gifted me a certain way, and I had blinders on, and I had to learn over time to drop the blinders and bring and be engaging. And it's been It's been an amazing journey for me. I have a great team, but when I get to spend time with executives like yourself who are so accomplished, I know that I'll end with this question because I'd love for you to share. Who is the most influential person in your life that taught you to be who you are today,
Uh,
and why?
I, 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 I I don't have anyone specific. I do a lot of reading, so I'm always taking bits
Mm,
and pieces from different things that I read. Because I've always felt that the whole is the sum of the parts.
sure.
I think probably, I know it sounds kind of strange, but Aristotle was a very famous
Right.
mathematician and philosopher, uh, and one of my philosophies of running the company is what I just said. He believed in the mathematical theorem that the whole is equal to the sum of the parts. I've changed that to the point where I always say that the whole can be greater than the sum of the parts, and
Mm,
that's what we try to do here in the company. Um, and I think about that every day, and in terms of my goal as an employer when I wake up every day, and I think it's probably yours as well, if can be so bold, is to make the company better than the day before, whatever
yes.
that is. Right? I'm sure you
Mhm.
think the same thing. What can you do better today? What can you do today to improve
Every day.
the company 24 hours ago, yesterday? But that's an interesting question, and philosophers and people like Salvatore Dali. I mean, that one principle is so
Mm,
important to how we run our lives. Um, and I must say also that my son Scott, he's really had a tremendous influence on a different aspect of the business that I've had in the past. Uh, I'm still a very traditional loan officer. He's very, he's 43, he's going to be 43, and he's embraced the business. He joined the company in 2010 after being a very successful investment banker. And
mm.
I brought him on board as we implemented our nationwide expansion plan, and he's done outstanding. And I try to tell people that one thing you can be assured of is that I have no interest in selling or taking the chips off the table. And with Scott here, we're going to continue the legacy of U.S. Mortgage for another 50 years. So it's pretty cool that we can get along, because you've heard horror stories about children with their
Right,
parents, right?
right.
But we do an outstanding job getting along, and he's learned the business very well, and he's going to take the company to another level, I think. And I look up to him too in terms of some of the things he's done, because
Outstanding.
he has everything in life comes down to ability and willingness to do something, and I
Mhm.
think it's important to recognize, again, as I said before, where do you lack certain ability and where do you lack certain willingness, and it sort of becomes a balance.
It
And
does, it does. It's interesting when you think about, uh, Independence Day and freedoms and your US mortgage, and you think about, the blessings of our country, and that we're still the land of the free.
yeah,
Did you name US mortgage after specifically because of, the USA?
yeah, I really felt it really exemplified what I wanted to do. When I first opened the company in 1994, we were still a mortgage broker, and I think I was one of the first mortgage companies to become licensed by the state New York State Banking Department, which is a major challenge in and of itself.
Right.
Um, and I was very proud when I got my license as an independent mortgage banker, and I just love the name, and I thought it would be great, and a wonderful name, and we created our slogan at that time, 1994, which was "Helping you make it home," which is still our mission statement.
I love that.
And I have my philosophy on that too. I've always felt, not to get too philosophical, but during my career, there's certain things I stayed away from, like the subprime products in the late 90s and early 2000s, which ultimately
Mhm.
led to the Great Recession. And I understand that that the government wanted to increase home ownership, which I understand from at that time 63 to 73%, and that led to creating a lot of the products that ultimately caused the Great Recession. I've always felt that everyone is entitled to a roof over their head, but not everyone's entitled to a mortgage.
Mm,
And as a good leader of a mortgage company, you have to know to say no.
Sure.
You have to realize that sometimes you're going to have to say no and advise that borrower to save their money, rent, and that's how our philosophy is throughout the United States. I think it's a great name and it's a great brand.
Sure.
We have a great mission statement, which is helping, um, you know, simply being that everyone is entitled to a roof over their head, and our slogan, helping you make it home. It all fits in with the whole idea of home ownership.
I love your slogan, helping you make it home. And I love the fact that we're in an industry where we get to help with that American dream.
Yeah,
And we get to do it in a responsible, loving, caring way, not only for the homeowner, but for the employees that we all
yeah,
employ today. And
exactly.
so I'm going to remember, where have you been? Where are you today? And where are you going? So,
Right.
that, let me just say thank you for the little time we've had together.
Thank
I
you.
am going to
Yeah.
definitely walk away with seeking longevity for my employees. I want to be the employer for life, which means we have to grow. We have to give them opportunity to advance. And,
Yeah.
you only got three options in a business, pull back, stay the same, or grow.
Yeah.
And very few people want to work for the company that's stagnant or pulling back. They want to go with the ones that grow. And so selfishly, I need to grow so I can have those employees for life.
And communication, I always say, is the lubrication.
Yes, it is, right?
And it's a matter of just communicating, taking the time to communicate with your employees. Which
Mm,
listen, I guarantee, I get it. It's challenging sometimes when you're sitting at your desk and I'm sitting at my desk, but you have to try to find the time to do that. So,
I got to ask this final question because I'm curious. Communication is the lubrication. Relationships are the foundation for everything, right? For a great company employer, because they got to trust us, and relationships are built on trust. Have you been compromised or challenged knowing that almost everything's remote, and how have you adapted to that, if at all?
uh, yeah, well, based on all of the aforementioned, as you can see,
Sure.
really enjoy personal interaction with my
Right.
employees.
I want to hug people. I want to be in the
Correct.
same room with them. And that's challenging me
Correct.
right now
Right.
because initially it was okay. We were all in the same boat. But now it's like, all right, I just need to get in the same room with you.
Yeah, 1000%, Casey.
So
I want to, and prior to March of last year, I would do a lot of traveling to all our branches. I'm the
right.
first to go with a loan officer to help them do an open house, or do a lunch and learn, or to do a happy hour, and I would
Right.
travel to all over the country to be with them, to listen to what their challenges are, what opportunities are they having uh, trouble implementing. Share with me your best practices. And it's important, I think, as leaders, you and I together, to be able to communicate and understand that.
Right.
And one of the ramifications of COVID is that has diminished our ability to do that, right? And
Sure.
even though we have Zoom and we have the virtual, we have the
It's not the same.
WebEx and the go to meetings, it's not the same. What I'm finding, which I think is a commonality, is that people they're distracted during these meetings. They're doing the emails, they're texting,
Two screens, phone. Oh, yeah.
thing, even in my meetings, when we did have meetings in the conference room, I would I have a little post-it saying cell phones are prohibited.
Right.
For that 1 or 1.5 hours, you can put your cell phone away and you'll get to your emails later on. But it's all about communicating.
Um, That might be a new thing. Maybe we say, okay, all hands on deck, which means you got to put your hands in the camera, which means I know you're not moving things around.
idea.
Here's an idea.
Let me see your hands, you know. I'm sure you go through that, you know.
There's,
you see
I used
people's
to say,
face.
if I've got your eyes, I've got your ears. Might need to be now. If I
I
have
like
your
that.
hands, I've got your eyes.
I like that. Dude. That's good. That's right. I got
Well,
eyes, I got your ears. I like that one.
yeah, there you go.
That's good.
Well, hey, you can put that in one of your Milnerisms. If
I
you've
think
got
I'm
your
gonna
eyes, I've
do
got
that.
your ears, right?
Yeah.
Because you think about it. If you're not looking at me, you can't hear me because you're distracted. I need your eyes. So thank you so much for your time.
I'm gonna write
It's
that
always a
down.
pleasure.
Can you email that to
Okay.
me? I don't want to be rude and write it down.
Yeah. I'll send that to you. If I've got
All
your
right,
eyes,
that's
I've got
good. I'll
your
put it
ears.
in the book.
And in the Zoom world, it might be if I've got your hands and eyes, I've got your ears. So
Yeah, that's so true though. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna like
it is. Because you don't know what they're doing. And you could literally have stuff on the screen, but if you have their hands and they can't move them, then you know that they're focused on you.
Yeah.
So, all right. What a pleasure and a
best.
privilege it is to
Thank
spend some time with you. No,
Thank you
you're the
so much.
best.
You're the best. Thanks so much.
God bless you. God bless you.
God
Well,
bless
you have a great one. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Absolutely.